The Stateside Soccer Show is now covering Ted Lasso.
If that's a joke, I love it. If not, I cannot wait to unpack that with you.
That's no joke. The Stateside Soccer Show now presents Believe Cast. We aren't talking about faith or ghosts.
Do you believe in ghosts, Ted?
I do. But more importantly, I think they need to believe in themselves.
We are talking Ted Lasso episode recaps. So sit back, get ready for us to discuss all the tea.
You know, I always figured that tea was just going to taste like hot brown water. And you know what? I was right. Yeah, it's horrible.
Hello and welcome to Believe Cast, presented by the Stateside Soccer Show, where we recap Ted Lasso Season 3. It's just me today, as Logan is unable to join us, so our more handsome co-host is out of commission today. But we will still try to provide you with the same great content that we are here to deliver. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're going to be talking Season 3, Episode 6, which is an episode where they go over to Amsterdam for a friendly titled Sunflowers. And that was directed by Matt Lipsey, story by Joe Kelly and Jason Sudeikis, with a teleplay by Brendan Hunt, and it premiered April 19th, 2023 on Apple TV Plus. So we will dive into that. I guess let me read the synopsis that we had. Okay, so it was a friendly match takes the team to Amsterdam, where one night out unlocks truths for many. This was the longest episode in the show's history, with 1 hour and 3 minutes. That is, I believe, still the longest. I don't see what. I guess we'll get the runtime another time for this. But we do have the synopsis and the title for episode 7, which we'll give a little preview for at the end of the show. But in this, let's briefly talk about it and then dive into kind of more play-by-player, different characters as we look ahead. But Sunflowers, what did I think of this episode? I do think it is probably one of the strongest of the season for sure, and I see a lot of people saying one of the strongest of the series. I did really enjoy this episode. The hour and 3 minutes flew by. Did not feel like an hour and 3 minutes for me, so that was great. And it was nice to just have the team have some fun together. We kind of got some more stuff going on with Colin, as Trent and Colin are going to hang out. So that was good to see. And we had Ted. I feel like this is really, I was talking last week that maybe that was the return of Ted. This is the return of Ted as himself. He was actually coaching. He was putting together a plan. That is exactly what I wanted to see from Ted Lasso. And I'm very glad that he is here to hopefully stay now this way. I like that he thought that he created Total Football, but, you know, of course, that is from the 70s. And, mostly came from the Dutch era. It now is more known as like tiki-taka, right? It's the same sort of style there, or evolved, I guess you would say. But this was a fun episode. Really enjoyed this overall. So let's dive in. AFC Richmond lose 5-0 during a friendly game to AFC Ajax, which was at the Johan Cruyff Arena in Amsterdam. And this kind of disheartened me at the beginning, because I remember, like I said last week, I said, I think they're back. I think Ted's back. I think the team's going to be good. Well, can't even win a friendly. Now, of course, some of that might be getting up for a friendly in mid-season. Is a little tough. Roy doesn't have the best attitude about friendlies, so it could be something with that as well. But it was kind of disheartening, because I was like, man, they even got whooped in a friendly. Like, hopefully somebody's able to wake this team up, right? Let's wake this team up, get them competing again. And I do think that what they need is that I like that they kind of go the other way. A lot of times if a team put in this type of performance, a coach would be like, hey, no day off tomorrow. You still have to hit curfew. Like, let's go. Ted's like, curfews, no, don't worry about it. You know, he lets them loose. They all go out and have different times and different experiences, and it helps, I think, this team get more on track. Now, I won't lie, I will be a little disappointed if the next episode we start off with another 6-0, 7-0 loss for Richmond and the team being dejected. I think we've had a few times now where there's chances for the team to move forward, and we're now at the halfway point of the season. So I do think it came at a perfect time here of, okay, episode 6 out of 12. Ted is now turning it around. We're at the halfway point. He's come up with total football. More triangles, right? We're going to play more free-flowing football. That should hopefully lead to the resurgence of the team. As we keep hearing from like Higgins and other characters, it's not for lack of talent on the teams. Because I saw some people say, well, this team will get shredded, you know, playing a 4-3-3 and playing tiki-taka type style. Maybe, but I think we're supposed to be picking up on those cues that they say of, you know, where every character is like, it's not for the lack of talent, maybe it's the coaching, like when Higgins is suggesting firing Ted. And I do think that we're hinting at something here of, okay, maybe we can look forward and it won't be unbelievable when they kind of turn it around. It's kind of the hope I have, that it's not going to be unbelievable as they turn it around. Now, again, I do think it'll be unbelievable if they go out and win the whole effing thing like they said. I personally don't see that as the ending. I saw somebody comment, I think on the Reddit or something, that, you know, Ted says it's not what you don't get what you want, you get what you need. And I don't know if Ted actually said that in the show, I'm blanking, but it was on all of the promotional materials of the season. The trailer is banging that point home. And what they want is to win the whole thing. But what you get is what you need. And I think that is the journey that we're going on into season 3 of this show. These characters getting what they need, maybe not what they want. And maybe we can apply that to Keely as well. If Keely and Jack are endgame, hey, maybe that means that that's what she needs, but she wanted Roy and Jamie. Instead, she's getting something that she needs, a different type of relationship that maybe will work out better. Or maybe she will end up back around in Roy or Jamie's arms at the end of the show. We only have 6 episodes left of this season. So, going from there, I don't think that, okay, this is where I was going, right? I don't think that they're going to win the whole thing. And I think this late in the season, it would be tough to kind of turn that around and win the whole thing. So I don't think that's the case. I do think they'll play better. I think they might get the revenge against Man City or West Ham. I think there'll be some closure to the Nate arc this season. And I guess we'll find out what Ted needs, where he goes. I see a lot of people predicting that Michelle's going to fall back into his arms. He's going to get his family back. I don't get that vibe at all so far. I think some people are saying that because of like the look she gave when he stood up for himself a bit, but I don't think that was what it meant. I think she was just happy he stood up for himself because that was one of the things, right? Was his fake positivity or positivity overload that made her even be like, okay, dude, it's enough. So now I do wonder like where we go from here for Ted. You know, Logan and I have speculated on this show. Where does Ted go from here? Well, at the end of this episode, right? If we find out the batch was bad, right? A dud batch for the was it like pot in the drink or something? I don't know. But it was a dud batch, and because we saw Ted have like this revelation with the triangles and like almost like the Disney math. Was it Donald Duck and math? The Donald Duck math cartoon. I'm blanking on the title right now. Math Magic Land. Yes, 1959. It's shot like almost exactly like that movie, and you're thinking when you're watching it, oh, this is because he's on. He drank that beer. He's on something. But we find out at the end that Beard says it was a dud batch, which means that he had that revelation all on his own, possibly hallucinating as well. But he had that revelation all on his own while sitting in that restaurant, which I do want to talk about. This what was the name of the place? I'm trying to find. Oh, it doesn't have it. But yeah, American style theme restaurant. I forget but cowboys and barbecue sauce, and they have a Chicago section, they have a New York section, and he's sitting in the Chicago section watching old Bulls highlights, and the Chicago Bulls, Phil Jackson with the triangles, which he learned from soccer and stuff. So funny how that kind of comes full circle. And we kind of get that now reintroducing Ted to the concept that is well known throughout the Netherlands and the rest of Europe and the rest of the footballing world. And he gets that revelation, and he now thinks, all right, let's do this, right? Let's go and win some games playing and loosening up ourselves. When we were with Zava, we were rigid, right? And they were rigid beforehand too. But with Zava, they were kind of rigid because they played a formation of pretty much Zava up top, everyone else behind, and we just get it to Zava, he scores. If that doesn't work, like it sometimes didn't, then they lose the game. 4-4-2 when they were being rigid is before Zava. Still losing. Not being creative enough. Now, being able to get Danny Rojas and Jamie Tart into a more free-flowing offense should help the team out a bit. We hope. We hope it'll help the team out a bit. So that's Ted's arc in this episode. And I do want to point out, too, I've meant to say this last week, but one thing I really liked in episode 5 of the season, Signs, is when Ted is getting ready to grab some water in his apartment, and then he sees Michelle's calling, and he drops that and picks up the wine and starts pouring, or the champagne, and starts pouring that instead, going for kind of the harder drink at that point. I really liked the subtle moment there of like, oh nope, I'm switching my drink. This might be a stressful conversation. And so I really like that. But moving on from Ted in this episode, because I don't think he had a lot to do, but we get a lot to see from other characters. We get Roy and Jamie. Roy forbids Jamie from taking the night off, and they have to go train, like right now. Get off the bus, go train. That's what they're going to do. During this, of course, Roy mentions he's never seen a windmill, that they're not real, right? And Jamie rents bicycles for them to go. The problem is Roy doesn't know how to ride a bike. I think this was done right, though. There's some of these, when you write down on a whiteboard, right? If you're a writer coming up with this, Roy doesn't know how to ride a bike. You can go over the top with that. You can go way over the top with that, or you can go subtle with it. And I think they nailed it. And the reason I think they nailed it is because it's, watch this episode and then go watch the episode of Friends where Phoebe doesn't know how to ride a bike. Totally over the top, totally different, right? This, Roy confesses it was because, his, it was a story about his dad. He never learned how to ride a bike. And, that was it. And now he thinks, oh, I should have learned how to ride a bike to honor him instead of never wanting to get on a bike. And he learns how to ride a bike. Jamie shows him, and this is a kind of a mentor becoming the mentee type of thing. So pretty interesting to see how those roles flipped in this episode. How those roles flipped in this episode was pretty great to see. We had Rebecca, who wanted to spend time with Keely, but Keely immediately leaves to go to Norway to see Jack. That was pretty much it. And Rebecca is in a bike lane and gets knocked off the bridge, falls into a canal, loses her phone. And I believe this was mentioned in the fortune teller, right? Like being in the water, but being safe. And that was here. Still no like lightning upside down thing, right? Haven't gotten that part yet. But we do have her soaked and safe. She fallen into the canal. The guy helps her, gets her in, and she has this magical evening in a houseboat. Very rom-com-esque. And they bond, over she originally just wants to get out of there, but he's being a super gentleman, right? When she goes shower, he leaves the house. He doesn't want her to feel unsafe. Instead of her just being in a robe, he offers her his clothes. There's moments here where this could have been a darker turn or more of a creep, but he did the right thing, which I applauded him for. And I think that they had really great chemistry. They were really, really great chemistry in this little part here. And where I wonder that, I think this is another red herring, though. Red herring, because people say, hey, he says that they did have sex at the end of the episode, but he tells her they didn't. What if she becomes pregnant from this, and that's how she becomes a mom? I don't think they're going that way. I don't. I think that would be a very odd plot for Ted Lasso to be like, I'm magically pregnant because I didn't know, did I have sex with that guy? And then she calls him, and then, I don't know. Like, I don't know where you go from there then. I do think that's the last we see of him, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misreading it completely. That's kind of where I sit with this whole plot line with Rebecca and the Dutchman. And it was a really nice episode. Really nice part of the episode, too, was the houseboat stuff. I started thinking, man, this guy's really charismatic. He's really great. Rebecca, follow your heart. But she does end up leaving the next morning, and I love when she gets back on the bus and she's just like dazed, right? She's still like dazed, like, oh, it's beautiful. Ted, one thing, again, this is where I don't know where they're going with Ted and Rebecca. It seems like, when he gets down, he tries to message her. And we got that in the, right? He like messaged her before. I think that was in the Liverpool one. And then it turns out to be Sassy that comes to his door instead. We get him messaging her this time, and she doesn't answer because her phone's gone. And it's like one of those, are these supposed to be kind of like lovers, romantic love interests that are always destined to not be together, in the sense of when one of them is kind of on the page, something else is going on? Is that where we're kind of going with Rebecca and Ted? Or is it Ted just being a friend and thinking, well, Beard's going to be out. I don't know what Rebecca's doing. Let me just message Rebecca. But with how many he was sending, I don't know. I feel like he kind of wanted to get in touch with her about something. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see how they set it up. Again, we only have 6 episodes left in the season, and if we are to believe that this is the last season, which I maybe think it still is, I don't know. it's I'm not sure how much they would be able to do that without it feeling out of the blue. I think they need to do more setup if that's where they're heading this year. Now, what I did like as well, Higgins gets some chance to shine in this episode. We all know I love my man Higgins. Higgins kills it this episode with Will. Will gets a lot of great screen time. He's like a young Higgins. I like that. And Higgins keeps saying he's going to the red light district. He's taking Will to the red light district. And you're supposed to think, like, is he really going there? Nah, right? Like, Higgins is not going to do that to his wife. But it's not going to the red light district for the reason you think. He takes him to a jazz club where he pays respect to Chet Baker. And Will is also delighted by the music. But is he? Is he actually delighted by the music? Or is he having a good time seeing Higgins love what he's doing? And then, what, we learn that Will has like a threesome with this couple that he's making eyes with. It's a pretty interesting storyline for Will. But Higgins even gets to go on stage because Will says, hey, he plays, because Higgins is just sitting there acting like he's doing like air bass, right, while he's watching the performance, and they get him up on there and he actually starts playing, and he gets to live a dream. He gets to live his dream of playing jazz in this place where other famous jazz players have been. It's absolutely awesome and a really cool thing to give Higgins something other than this. Could have gone a whole nother way. I do think about this. Parks and Rec, one of my favorite shows of all time. There's a character that I think, when you look at Higgins season 1, where Rebecca's always on his case and always making fun of him, right? Or kind of sticking it to him. I see Jerry from Parks and Rec. Jerry, Gary, Larry, whatever you want to call him. He's had all 3 names from Parks and Rec. And I think, and I hope they never go this way. If this is the last season, I don't think they will. But I do think that what we're seeing is, or what I hope we don't see, is the transformation of Higgins into like a Jerry from Parks and Rec. They easily could have made him the butt of all the jokes and even have people like Ted be kind of mean to him. Leslie Knope, one of the nicest people, right, is super mean to Jerry in Parks and Rec. Even Ann Perkins is super mean to Jerry in Parks and Rec. Ted is not mean to Higgins. He welcomes him into the Diamond Dogs. He values his opinion and actually values him as a friend. So this is where I say it could have easily went a whole different way. But what we got instead is Higgins being able to play bass in a jazz band on stage in Amsterdam, which is really rad. I'm just wanting to appreciate the show and the writers for not making a stereotypical sitcom character that just becomes the butt of the jokes that you kind of see characters like Higgins become. So good on you, Ted Lasso writers. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's get to the Colin storyline here. So Colin and the rest of the team. Let's get to the rest of the team, and then we'll split off with Colin when he does, because the rest of the team's storyline is very minimal. But they're all trying to decide, do they go to a sex show? Do they go to like a party around here? And do they eat around here? Or they do other stuff? And they're all voting, and it has to be unanimous. That is what Isaac is setting out to do here as a leader. We have to pick it all together. So we have some characters like Van Damme, right? Or Zorro, whatever you want to call him. Who keeps bringing up, let's go to the sex show, right? Let's go to the sex show. And then others want to go to a private party, which is a 2-hour drive away. And they also still have to eat. And then they start eating at the hotel instead. They start drinking at the hotel instead. But at this, Colin gets up and says, hey, my stomach's feeling kind of bad. I'm going to head out of here. See you later. And Colin leaves. And Trent immediately knows, I'm going to follow Colin here because I know he's making this up. And we find out that Trent Crimm is also gay and had to come out to his family. And that's why he hasn't told anyone. And I like this too. A lot of people were thinking Trent was going to like be a real POS and just out Colin for no reason. That's not the type of character Trent Crimm is. I never saw that happening. I did see people think that maybe Trent Crimm was gay. They knocked that out of the park because he is. And they also went to, he spots Colin in a gay bar. And, Colin is like, oh, wait, I'm in the wrong, I'm in the wrong place. See ya. And Trent's like, I know. I've known for a bit. I saw you kissing your friend. Like, it's fine. I am also gay. Let's just have a good time. And they bond. They tell stories. They're having fun time. They're having drinks. It's awesome. Really great bit in the episode. And Colin has this moment, where he says, I want to be able to be the same as, I want to be myself. Like, I want to be able to kiss my boyfriend after we win a game and not care about who sees it. And that's a problem that sports players have, right? Because everyone perpetuates this like macho man. You have to be like, oh yeah, beers, sports, women, we're having it all. And it can make them feel uncomfortable. They can't be themselves. And that's a problem when you can't be yourself, even against people that are your brothers, people with you that you are in the lines, in the trenches with, in your sport, right? Where it's us against the world. They had us 20th place in the Premier League. And we're going to show them, but you still can't let that guard down. And that's unfortunate. And I do think that is changing. I do hope eventually it changes. We have had other athletes come out before, but usually after their playing days. Usually after the playing days because, they're worried about how it'll be received. We had Robbie Rogers over here in the U.S. He played for the Galaxy, and he was an out gay player. Playing and made the news for it and stuff, but after a while you just think, all right, he's just another dude. He's playing a game, he's doing his living, it's his career. And I do wish some players at a higher level would come out, because it opens that door of, okay, I'm not ashamed of myself. And I'm not saying these people are. I'm just saying that when they come out, it's like, okay, I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm not going to let you talk crap about me. I deserve to be here. I deserve to be myself in front of you, in front of the fans, without getting stuff thrown at me or said to me. And unfortunately, sometimes that's not the case. And that's why they won't. Just why a lot of like top players won't. They're worried about sponsors, right? They're worried about, especially as we continue to let maybe money from like some of the big oil money clubs like Manchester City that get money from, the Middle East that maybe have different values, and maybe there's pressure there. I don't really know. But you just want somebody to not be hurting anymore for hiding who they are. And that's kind of the most frustrating thing from the outside. And I'm sure I am not as frustrated as the players, obviously, that are holding this in. But, you wish that they were not hurting, that they could be comfortable with themselves. And that's what Colin says. And it makes me wonder, okay, is he going to come out to the team at least? There are players that have come out to their team and not come out to the public because their team was able to handle it better than the public would. So maybe he comes out to the team And I do think this team would all have his back. Obviously, it's a feel-good show. I don't think they would go in that direction of, you're awful, Colin. Like, no, I think they would all have his back. It's supposed to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. So I do think maybe that's where we're heading in Colin's story here. And then we also have Coach Beard, who goes out by himself with a whole bunch of other people. He knows how to speak Dutch and has a good time. But also the rest of the team decides to do pillow fight. And that's a good callback to what? I think season 1 when they go to Liverpool. And, Ted said movie night or pillow fight. He says, once you guys pick pillow fight, you never pick a movie night again. So it is funny to see them do pillow fight and how they're, kind of like dressed as if they're players and like making it a real sport of pillow fight is a lot of fun too. And then, of course, it all ends with the club singing Three Little Birds by Bob Marley, which is also the anthem of Ajax. And you hear it when Ajax wins the game there at the beginning of the episode. But overall, a really fantastic episode. Got really good, really great character moments. Absolutely great character moments. And it's setting the stage. This is an episode that sets the stage, I think, for here's where the characters are halfway through. We're going to hit all these points now and get them to their conclusion that they deserve. And I think that's Colin coming out to the team, if not the world. I think that's Ted being a little bit more successful to soccer tactics. This is something, right? We've never seen him come up with real tactics before. And he comes up with the triangles, which was already a thing. But seeing him come up with it and him actually have soccer ideas was really cool. So I think that's something we'll see more of. And of course, then having Jamie be motivated and going out to do what he needs to do. Still not really sure what Roy's path for the season is going to be or where we're going to end up with Keely and Jack or Rebecca. But they are set up, at least Rebecca's set up for a really great conclusion here. I'm not sure what Keely and Roy are set up for romantically in their lives. But we're halfway through. It's been a really great season. Let's go ahead and look ahead to the next episode title, which is called The Strings That Bind Us. And that is directed by, we don't know yet, but written by Phoebe Walsh. And it premieres April 26th on Apple TV. The Greyhounds try a new strategy that has everyone thinking outside the box. Sam prepares to host a VIP guest at Ola's. So I'm glad that we're going to get some Sam content. He's been kind of lacking in the season so far. And I'm really excited to see them try the new formation and stuff. So this sounds like a really fun episode. We don't have a length yet. I think that'll drop probably on Tuesday. I'm recording this on Monday. But overall, really fantastic episode this week. Really loved it. Logan really loved it as well. He'll talk a little bit about it when we start covering the next episode. He'll give his thoughts before we move on to talk the episode. But I just wanted to make sure we had an episode recap out for this week before the next episode drops. So there you go. Also, real quick, do not send emails to tedlasso@gmail.com. That might be shutting down. I don't know what's going on with that account, but just send all Ted Lasso related feedback to statesideshow@gmail.com or Stateside Show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching or listening. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time.